Zora Neale Hurston in Haiti, Tell My Horse, and the Vodou Truth in 1936, one woman entered Haiti's most sacred ceremonies and documented what she found inside, including evidence of the walking dead. Long before the paranormal investigation became a television genre, before teams of researchers arrived with recording equipment and night vision cameras to document what they could not explain, there was a different kind of investigator. One who understood that to document the supernatural traditions of a culture, you could not stand outside looking in. You had to go inside. You had to learn what the tradition required. You had to do what the tradition demanded. And in 1936, that investigator arrives in Haiti. Her name is Zora Neale Hurston. She is an anthropologist trained at Columbia University under Franz Boas, the most rigorous social scientist of his generation. She is also a novelist, a storyteller, and the first African-American woman to receive a Guggenheim Fellowship. The fellowship sends her to Haiti with instructions that amount to a single directive: document what is there. What is there is the most concentrated expression of the African diaspora's supernatural tradition that exists anywhere in the Western Hemisphere. What is there is Haitian Vodou, and Hurston arrives prepared to document it in a way no outside observer has attempted before. She does not come to watch. She comes to participate. This is not her first engagement with the African diaspora's supernatural. She has already spent years in Florida and Louisiana conducting the fieldwork that becomes her book Mules and Men. She has apprenticed to Hoodoo practitioners. She has participated in ceremonies. She has learned the specific rituals, the specific roots, the specific prayers that constitute American Hoodoo practice, and she has developed a methodology that separates her work from every other anthropological study of these traditions. She does not observe from a distance. She goes inside the tradition itself. She learns what must be learned to understand what she is documenting. And when she arrives in Haiti in 1936, she brings that same methodology to bear on Vodou. Haiti in the 1930s exists under American military occupation that has only recently ended. The country's spiritual traditions have been driven underground, suppressed by both the Catholic Church and the occupying forces who view Vodou as primitive superstition at best and dangerous witchcraft at worst. But the tradition survives. It continues in the countryside, in the temples called hound forts, in the ceremonies conducted by Hungans and Mambos who serve the lower, the spirits who bridge the gap between the human world and the divine. Hurston spends 18 months in Haiti and Jamaica. She travels into the countryside. She attends ceremonies. She speaks with practitioners. She photographs what she is permitted to photograph. She documents what she is permitted to document. And she participates. This is the crucial distinction. She does not arrive as a tourist seeking exotic spectacle. She arrives as someone trained in the anthropological methods of her generation, yes, but also as someone who understands from her Hoodoo training that these traditions contain real power, that they cannot be understood from outside, and that honest documentation requires engagement. The ceremonies she documents involve possession. The lower manifest through the bodies of the initiated, mount them, in the language of the tradition. She watches as men and women she has spoken with moments before are transformed, their bodies taken over by entities that speak through them, move through them, demonstrate knowledge and abilities that the possessed individuals do not possess in their ordinary state. She recognizes what she is seeing. She has witnessed similar phenomena in American Hoodoo ceremonies. She understands that what appears to outside observers as performance or delusion is, within the logic of the tradition, the actual manifestation of spiritual forces through human vessels. She documents the specific lower. Baron Samedi, Lord of the Cemetery, guardian of the boundary between life and what comes after. Urzuli Frida, the lower of love and luxury and heartbreak. Ogu, the warrior spirit. Dambala, the serpent. She records the specific songs, the specific rhythms, the specific offerings each lower requires. She describes the possession ceremonies with the precision of a trained observer and the literary skill of a novelist, and the result is documentation that later anthropologists consistently confirm as accurate in its details. But the most controversial element of her documentation involves something else entirely, something that exists at the edge of what the tradition acknowledges, something that challenges every rational explanation. She documents the zombie. The word has become a joke in contemporary culture, stripped of meaning by decades of horror films and apocalypse fantasies. But in Haiti in 1936, the zombie is not entertainment. It is a specific phenomenon within the Vodou tradition, and it is taken seriously by practitioners and non-practitioners alike. The zombie, in Haitian tradition, is a person who has been made to appear to perish, who is buried, and who is then raised from the grave and enslaved. The mechanism involves a poison called zombie powder, administered by a boka, a Vodou practitioner who works in the darker aspects of the tradition. The powder contains tetrodotoxin derived from puffer fish, along with other substances. It induces a state that mimics the cessation of life. The victim is buried. Hours or days later, the boka returns, exhumes the body, and administers an antidote. The victim revives. But the combination of oxygen deprivation, trauma, and continued drugging leaves them in a dissociated state. They appear to have no will, no personality. They are, in the specific language of the tradition, the walking dead. Hurston hears stories of zombies throughout her time in Haiti. Every practitioner she speaks with acknowledges the phenomenon. Every ordinary Haitian she encounters treats it as fact, not folklore. And then she is given the opportunity to document direct evidence. She is taken to meet Felicia Felix Mentor. The woman was certified as having passed away in 1907. She was buried. Her family mourned her. But in 1936, nearly 3 decades later, she is found wandering near her former home. She is alive. She does not speak coherently. She does not recognize her family. She moves with the shuffling, disconnected gait that matches every description Hurston has heard of zombie behavior. And Hurston photographs her. The photograph appears in Tell My Horse, published in 1938. It shows a woman with vacant eyes, slack features, the physical presence of someone whose connection to ordinary consciousness has been severed. The image is disturbing not because it appears supernatural, but because it appears entirely real. This is not a performance. This is not a willing participant in a hoax. This is a human being in a state that defies conventional medical explanation, and Hurston documents it without sensationalizing it and without explaining it away. She investigates the zombie powder itself. She speaks with bokas who acknowledge its existence and its use. She documents the social function of zombification within Haitian culture. It serves as punishment for those who violate community norms, a fate worse than physical demise because it erases the personality and enslaves the body. She records the specific ingredients practitioners describe, and she treats the entire phenomenon with the same methodological rigor she applies to everything else she documents. She does not claim to explain it. She claims only to have witnessed it and to record what she witnessed. This is the methodology that separates Tell My Horse from every other account of Haitian Vodou written by outside observers. Hurston does not arrive with preconceptions about what is possible or impossible. She arrives prepared to document what the tradition actually contains, and what it contains includes phenomena that challenge materialist explanations of reality. The possession ceremonies involve what practitioners describe as actual spiritual entities manifesting through human bodies. The zombie tradition involves what practitioners describe as the manipulation of the boundary between life and its cessation. And Hurston documents both without imposing her own explanations, allowing the tradition to speak for itself through her precise recording of what she witnesses. The book she produces represents the most important first-person account of Haitian Vodou ever written by a trained outside observer. Tell My Horse combines anthropological precision with literary artistry. It documents specific ceremonies, specific practitioners, specific cases. It preserves details of the tradition as it existed in the 1930s that have been confirmed by later researchers who conducted their own fieldwork. It captures the voices of the people she interviews in prose that honors their knowledge and their authority within their tradition. But Tell My Horse also documents danger. Hurston does not romanticize the tradition she records. She documents the Bokas who work in the darker aspects of Vodou, who administer poisons, who enslave the bodies of the zombified. She documents the Loa who are invoked in ceremonies designed to harm rather than heal. She understands from her Hoodoo training that traditions with real power can apply that power in both directions, that the same forces that protect can destroy, and she records this truth without minimizing it. The tradition she documents continues. Haitian Vodou survives in Haiti and in the diaspora communities where Haitians have carried it. But the specific moment Hurston captured has passed. The Haiti of 1936 no longer exists. The practitioners she interviewed have passed away. The ceremonies she witnessed have changed or been lost. Tell My Horse holds what existed in amber, preserves it through the precision of her observation and the clarity of her prose. Hurston herself returns from Haiti and Jamaica in 1937. She publishes Tell My Horse in 1938. The book receives mixed reviews. Some critics praise its literary qualities. Others question whether an anthropological study should be written in such accessible prose. Still others challenge her documentation of phenomena like the zombie, preferring to dismiss the entire subject as superstition rather than engage with the evidence she presents. But the book endures. Later anthropologists consistently cite it as foundational text in the study of Haitian Vodou. Later researchers confirm the accuracy of the details she recorded, and the tradition itself recognizes her as one of the few outside observers who understood what she was documenting from inside. She saw the zombie, she photographed the zombie, she participated in possession ceremonies. She documented the Loa from inside the rituals in which they manifested. She recorded the specific songs, the specific prayers, the specific offerings, and she wrote it all down in prose that has never been surpassed in the literature of the African diaspora supernatural, precise, honest, charged with the specific authority of someone who was not just observing but living inside what she was documenting. Zora Neale Hurston was the tradition's most important external witness, but she was also, in the ways that mattered to the tradition itself, an insider. That combination happens rarely in the documentation of spiritual practices. When it does, it produces something extraordinary. It produces Tell My Horse, a paranormal archive created by one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, holding the Haitian Vodou tradition of the 1930s in the amber of literary and anthropological precision. The book remains in print. The photograph of Felicia Felix Mentor remains available for examination. The documentation continues to inform understanding of a tradition that exists outside the boundaries of conventional Western materialism, preserved by a woman who understood that honest investigation required going inside what others only observed from outside. If you found this case compelling, subscribe to Vanishing Roads for more documented paranormal investigations from around the world. This story was created with AI assistance based on documented case files. All events reference real investigations and reported incidents.